What if I told you there's a kind of master key for your immune system? Something that could put your body's natural defenses on high alert. Well, today we're talking about a molecule that does pretty much exactly that, beta-glucan. We're going to dive deep into the science of how this natural compound, which you can find in some really common foods, literally acts as a key to unlock our body's most ancient defenses. So let me ask you a question. What do mushrooms, the yeast that gives us bread and beer, and a simple bowl of oatmeal all have in common? I know, they seem totally random, right? But they all share one very special ingredient, beta-glucan. And understanding this connection is the first step to figuring out how it all works. So here's our game plan. First, we'll nail down what beta-glucan actually is. Then, we're going to follow it on its journey through the body. We'll see how it unlocks our immune cells, check out the chain reaction that follows, and finally, get into why not all beta-glucans are created equal. It's a whole lock and key story, and it's pretty fascinating. All right, let's kick things off. What exactly is this stuff? You might have heard it talked about as just a type of fiber, the kind you get from oats. But believe me, when it comes to your immune system, it is so much more than that. Okay, so on a technical level, beta-glucan is a complex sugar. It's a long chain of glucose molecules that's found in the cell walls of things like fungi and yeast. But here's the absolute key. Your body doesn't break it down for energy like other sugars. Instead, your immune system sees its unique shape and recognizes it as a signal. Scientists call it a PAMP, which stands for pathogen-associated molecular pattern. Just think of it like a molecular red flag that makes your immune cells go, whoa, hold on, pay attention to this. And this is where it gets super interesting. The structure of that sugar chain means everything. The beta-glucans that get all the attention for immune support, the ones from yeast and mushrooms, they have this specific branching structure that's way different from the straight, linear chain you find in oats, which is mostly known for helping with cholesterol. This difference in shape is the whole reason they do completely different things in your body. So how in the world does something you eat, like a supplement from yeast or a mushroom, end up affecting your entire immune system? Well, let's trace its path right from your plate all the way to your immune cells. Okay, so you eat it. Since your body can't digest it, it sails right through your stomach acid completely unharmed. When it gets to the small intestine, it hits these special little immune hotspots called Peyer's patches. And here, immune cells called macrophages literally reach out, snatch the beta-glucan particles, and pull them in. That's the start of their tour through the rest of your body. And this is a huge point. Your body has a built-in, dedicated system just for grabbing these molecules from your gut. It's not a passive thing, it's an active process. And that's exactly why countless studies have shown that taking beta-glucan by mouth can be just as biologically active as getting an injection. Now we're at the heart of this story, the lock and key mechanism. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of how beta-glucan physically interacts with our immune cells to wake them up. The metaphor is really simple, but it's perfect. Just imagine your frontline immune cells are covered in these highly specific locks. And beta-glucan, with its very particular shape and structure, is the one or only key that can fit perfectly into them. The master lock has a name. It's a receptor called dectin-1, and it's found all over the surface of our immune system's first responders. Cells like macrophages and neutrophils. Dectin-1 is perfectly shaped, basically evolved over millions of years, just to recognize and bind to that specific beta-1 3-glucan structure we talked about. Now, dectin-1 is definitely the star of the show, but it's not working alone. Our immune cells have a whole team of other receptors, like CR3 and scavenger receptors, that also grab onto beta-glucan. It creates this really robust system to make sure that the signal gets through loud and clear. But check this out. This is where it gets incredibly specific. Some really groundbreaking research showed that it's not enough for the key to just fit the lock. You have to be able to turn it. Large, insoluble beta-glucans are big enough to grab multiple dectin-1 receptors and physically pull them together. It's like needing two hands to turn a really stiff wheel. That clustering action is what actually turns the key and sends a powerful "wake up" signal into the cell. In contrast, those smaller, soluble beta-glucans, well, they can fit the lock, but they're too small to cluster the receptors, so the key goes in, but it can't turn. No signal, no activation. It proves that size and structure are literally everything. So once that key is turned and the lock is officially open, what happens next? Well, this single event kicks off a powerful, coordinated cascade of immune responses that ripples throughout your entire body. Once those cells are activated, they immediately get better at their jobs. Their ability to eat and destroy pathogens goes way up. They start pumping out cytokines, which are basically chemical alarm bells that alert the rest of the immune system. But maybe the most amazing effect is something called trained immunity. This process actually reprograms your immune cells on an epigenetic level, making them faster and stronger when they respond to any future threat, not just the one they were trained on. It's like getting a system-wide software update for your immune system. And you can actually see this activation happen in lab studies. This chart from a 2010 study shows how much of a key immune messenger got released when cells were exposed to different beta-glucans. And you can see it plain as day. High-quality glucans from both yeast, like Glucan 300 and Wellmune, and from mushrooms, like Maitake Gold, they all triggered a really powerful response. That's a clear signal of high-level immune activation. This has also been explored in animal models. A landmark 2004 study, this one in mice, found that giving them yeast-derived beta-glucan orally could actually boost the effectiveness of anti-tumor antibody therapies. And they figured out the mechanism. The beta-glucan basically acted like a magnet, drawing more immune cells right to the tumor, which helped the antibodies do their job better. And most importantly, this has been studied in people. For instance, a 2014 placebo-controlled clinical trial looked at children with respiratory issues. They were given 100 milligrams of yeast-derived beta-glucan every day for a month. The researchers found that it significantly increased the pathogen-killing ability of their immune cells compared to the kids who got the placebo. It's a direct demonstration of enhanced immune function in humans. Okay, this brings us to our final section. And honestly, it might be the most important point of all. All this amazing science, it all hinges on one critical fact. Not all beta-glucans are the same. The source and the structure matter a lot. So you might be sitting there thinking, okay, if this stuff is so powerful, why isn't every single study a home run? Why do some reports show it does nothing? And that is a fantastic question. The answer lies in the molecule itself. This quote from a big scientific review just hits the nail right on the head. The researchers pointed out that in a lot of the studies that failed to show any effect, critical details about the beta-glucan they used, its structure, its purity, were just missing. So the problem wasn't the lock and key theory. The problem was they were using a poorly made or just the wrong kind of key. So whether the key works or not comes down to a bunch of factors. The source, yeast, mushroom, oat, determines its basic shape. Its molecular weight and branching pattern affect how tightly it binds to the lock. Its solubility determines if it can even turn the key. And finally, purity is essential. All of these things have to be just right for the lock to open. And to put all of this in perspective, get this. This immune interaction is ancient. I mean, truly ancient. The horseshoe crab, an animal that's been crawling around for 450 million years, has a primitive defense system that is specifically designed to detect beta-glucan from fungi. It just goes to show you how fundamental and deeply embedded this recognition pathway is in the defense systems of life on Earth. So the biggest takeaway here is that beta-glucan isn't just one thing. It's a massive family of molecules with tons of variations. The science has clearly shown us the lock and given us the blueprint for the key. The next frontier, the real challenge for future research, is figuring out how to consistently match the perfect key from the right source with the right structure to unlock the incredible potential of our own immune systems.